What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Young Gun Disc Golf, and boy do I have a treat for you guys today. I actually got my dad to do an in the bag video. Yeah, he actually agreed to it, which is really cool. I'm really happy he did it, and we actually already filmed it as of right now. He did a great job. I can't wait to finally post it on YouTube. This has been a while in the making. We decided to do it like a couple weeks ago, and finally, shot it just today. And what you're gonna see in the bag video is he's gonna show you guys a lot of Innova discs. That's all he throws, and he's also gonna mention out each and every one of the discs in his bag or his favorite discs. So just be prepared for that. And yeah, without further ado, here's the in the bag video with that guy, Tony Rodriguez. Here you guys go.
Tony Rodriguez, welcome to Young Gun Disc Golf, and today we're filming a video about what's in my bag. So you guys are familiar with my son TJ Rodriguez. He decided a while back to start his own channel on YouTube, and he asked me as a favor to do an in the bag. So here it goes. I want to let you guys know up front, the only thing I throw is Innova disc. It's kind of hard to argue with 12-time champion Ken Climo. If he's doing it and he's winning championships, and most of the people that have won championships are throwing Innova, I stick to it. So that's kind of a joke, but the main reason I throw Innova is when I first started way back in '87, the only discs they had were Innova discs. So it's just, it's home to me. It's just what I know. It's what I throw, and it's really hard to argue with why not throw those discs. They've been around forever, and I wouldn't say I'm the most successful golfer, and I'm just getting back in it again. I've played forever, but I'm really excited about TJ asked me to do this video, and want to show you guys what I have in my bag. So you can see I have an Innova bag. This is like it's not the tournament series, it's the one right below it. I also have the straps on the back. I'm an old man, so I got to make sure that I have something that's going to help support my bag. And as you notice, a lot of people call me metrosexual or whatever because you can see my bag is all color coordinated. It's only because this old man's getting senile and I'll forget a disc on the course. So I make sure that all the discs are color coordinated. That way I can count, I know how many I have, what I have, and if I happen to throw a couple extra drives when we're practicing, I'll make sure I don't lose one. So this is my bag. I want to start off by saying most of the drivers I throw are really stable drivers outside of the Wraith. I throw an 8. I throw a few destroyers. The destroyers I throw range in different weight. It's a 167 destroyer. I really like this one because I can crank it to the right. Not real hard like you would normally have to do with a destroyer, but when you crank it right, I don't have to put so much on it and it will come back left. 167, as you see, it's Avery Jenkins again, another world champion. Why wouldn't you throw an Innova disc? The next one I got is another Star Destroyer. This one in first run, but you can see there's no numbers on it. I've had this one probably for about 10 years at least. It's a 169. I have it in the bag. It's crazy because Avery Jenkins are a little bit more stable than most destroyers. This one actually is less stable, so I keep it in the bag. I use it for, I know it's hard to believe, for Anheuser shots, but I can crank it over right and it'll hold right longer than most other destroyers. The other two destroyers I have, and I guess I should probably tell you guys the weights if I'm not already. This is a 171 destroyer, and again, it's the Avery Jenkins. This one's probably the most stable driver I have outside of the 8. I'll show you here in a second. I love this disc because I can really crank it hard right, and I have confidence in the wind it's going to come back left. I have 2 of them, same weight. You can see the same color, everything's the same. Just in case, as I told you guys before, I'm getting a little older, so I want to make sure that I'm not going to lose a disc. So I got 2 of them the same weight. Okay, let's see. I guess I'll show you guys the 8 next. And a lot of, there's mixed reviews about the 8. What I really love about this disc, and I actually hit an ace here at one of the Irving courses for an ace pot. It was only a little over $100, but I'm able to crank this 2-finger is what I call it, or some people call it a flick, but I'm able to crank it as hard as I want right, left, excuse me, as far as I want left. And this thing, I can almost throw it like a roller, like you would throw a roller, and it just has enough stability to come back right. And I love this disc. I mean, a lot of people, like I said, there's mixed reviews because it's really difficult to backhand. I mean, you got to have a super Hulk arm to throw it Anheuser, because as soon as it turns right, it's going to flip. So I really love this disc. Short range backhand, I'd say 250 out is for me max, which isn't a long distance, but I'm very accurate with it. I mean, I can throw it like this, and I know it's going to come back at the basket. Hit a couple pans with it, haven't aced with it yet. So let me be clear. The other ape I used to have in my bag is now on my wall because, as I mentioned, I aced with it. Let's see. I have a beast. I'm going to show you guys a beast because, you know, not a lot of people throw beasts anymore. But I use it more for a roller. I love this disc. Long range roller. I can roll it 400 feet, sometimes more than that if I get on a good bead. Most people can throw that far, but yeah, I'm getting old in my age, as I mentioned. Sometimes if I want a little bit more distance, I've rolled this up to 500 feet. I've birdied a few holes, including a couple at Fritz Park. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Fritz Park in Irving. There's a couple 500 feet. One's 500, one's around, what, 480? So I've been able to birdie those. I got a couple turns. I actually was watching, I can't remember what video I was watching. I love watching in the bag videos because you want to know who the best are and what they're throwing. You know, maybe you can get a little edge on other people, but I got a couple turns and I'm doing a really bad job of telling you guys weights, so forgive me. But most of my weights range from 167, I think, is the lowest, to about 171 is my max weight outside of my putters in mid-range. You'll see here in a second. But this is a 171 turn. It's orange. I tried to get the same color as I told you guys before. I like to have a backup. But I tell you, this disc is kind of growing on me. The reviews I read where the turn actually will be more unstable than a lot of discs. And from my perspective, it's very true. So if you throw it right, it will come back in Anheuser for you. If you throw it with a hyzer, it holds its line pretty well. I haven't really tested it in the wind. I'm not real confident right now with it in the wind because I have destroyers. Why not use a destroyer in the wind? Those are the best discs probably made. But the turn is really a nice disc. It flies forever. It feels like when I throw it, I don't have to put as much on it as I would, say, a destroyer where you're having to crank it a little bit more. And most of you guys know what I'm talking about. But you can see I have a turn here. It's a blue Champion turn, and TJ actually recommended Champion because he knows most of my throws are Anheisers. I mean, I'm cranking major hyzer discs to the right so they can flex for me. And he mentioned throwing a Champion, and I can throw it pretty straight, and I can put it a little bit to the right, but I'm afraid to crank it like I would a destroyer. But I think you guys should try these out because it seems like the least amount of effort to go as far as it does. I'm serious. It's a pretty good disc. So next thing I have, well, I'll show you guys. I do have a white destroyer. I guess I should have showed you that with the rest of the destroyers. As I mentioned, most of my weights are between 171, my drivers, to 165 or 167, I think is what I said. This is a 169, and again, to A.B. Jenkins destroyer. I tell you, this disc is probably my favorite disc out of all the discs I have in my bag. And again, let me clarify when I say that, of my drivers. I love this disc. I can throw it right, I can throw it left. I can pretty much control this disc, do whatever I need it to do. If I was actually to say I have to throw one disc on this hole, I would probably always go back to this. Now, it is a Star plastic, and I beat the crap out of it. I don't know how close you guys can see that, but I put an edge on it. Hit the concrete and it scraped it a little bit, so it doesn't fly as well as it used to. But still, if I was to say one disc, again, you're gonna hear me say this over and over, destroyers are the way to go. The other ones I have are Race, and I'm a big fan of Race. I mean, Ken Climo's got his name on it, so how can you go wrong with a disc that has his name on it? You know, definitely a shout out to Ken. I mean, he made the sport what it is. Without him, we probably wouldn't even be playing right now. He put the sport on the map, and there was a lot of people outside of him, but he's always been an inspiration. My best friend's from Clearwater, so you know, it's really awesome to see someone be successful from there. Even though I'm a Texas boy, I got to make a shout out to Ken, but it's hard to argue with 12-time world champions. But race, you got to have a Wraith in your bag. Earlier today, we were playing a tournament, and someone told me that they're old school disc. I tell you, I can crank this baby 400 feet. So call it old school, call it what you want. TJ see me throw this one. I actually almost hit another ace yesterday. Almost don't count, but you know, TJ was there, and everyone else that's going to be watching this that was there saw it. It went in the bag, it went in the basket, rolled around, and spit out. But you have to have a Wraith in your bag. I'm telling you, without the wind, this to me is the best disc. Destroyer overall best disc. Second best disc as a driver is a Wraith. This one is a 167. The other one I just threw down is a 171. Again, really good disc. You guys know what Wraiths do. If you don't, you got to throw one. You can crank it right. Again, you don't want to crank it hard right as you would a Destroyer, but you crank it a little bit right and it will flex for you. Goes a long way. Awesome. This is a personal favorite. This is a disc my son bought me for Christmas. I give him a hard time because if you notice, I'm gonna get a little close to the camera. Someone that plays disc golf should know. See that dome on that disc? See how domey it is? This is a Wraith. This is a real Wraith. See, it's not domey at all. So when TJ handed this to me for Christmas, I gave him a big hug and kissed him and said, you need to start paying attention to what disc you pull out. Just kidding. I love my boy. So that's my drivers. Oh, I have one more driver. This is an old beat up Eagle. So I'm a big roller. I love to roll discs. I can roll them really long way. I can roll further than I can throw. I don't have a big arm like a lot of people. Like I said, 350, 400, you know, is my max, but I can add another 100 feet with a roller. Not real consistent like I used to be when I was younger. That's all I did was roll. I would roll every hole that was possible. So for young golfers, you got to learn how to throw every shot. You can't just throw backhand. You got to learn how to throw a flick. You got to learn how to throw a roller, and you definitely, obviously, with your backhand, you got to learn how to do that too. So you can't depend on your flick all the time, which I've seen a lot of young golfers do. So anyway, this is an Eagle. Love it. I actually go to a couple places around here to look for beat up Eagles so I can roll them. Got to have one in the bag. So I don't know if I have mid-ranges. I call these putters mid-range, whatever. The first one I'm going to show you is a classic rock. I actually traded TJ this disc, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and I'm a huge fan. Never been able to throw a rock. I've always been a hyzer thrower, Anheuser thrower, and unfortunately what a rock does is do everything that you want it to do. A rock will go straight if you throw it straight. It'll Anheuser if you want Anheuser, and it'll hyzer, and it'll hold the line. So for me, being a hyzer thrower, if I get it to flex, it's going to go way right. So what I use it for is, say, I don't know, 150 out. When I need to throw a Anheuser shot, I actually really depend on this one a lot. It's a good disc. Everyone has to have a rock in their bag as well. And Star Gator. Gators are, again, you probably heard me throughout this video say a lot of these are my favorite discs. Well, they wouldn't be in my bag if they weren't my favorite discs. So the Star Gator is an amazing disc. I love it because I can flex it. I can Anheuser hard, and it's a major hyzer mid-range. I can throw it 200 feet. So those small holes that I need to like hit a spot to the right, and then the baskets say to the left, I can crank it right, knowing that it's going to come back hard left. If you haven't thrown one, you definitely got to try these out. I'm telling you, Gators, especially in the wind, you can't beat this disc from a mid-range perspective. So, got to have that. So these are really what the money's about. So for you young golfers and you golfers that have been playing for as long as I have, you know, who cares about the show? It doesn't matter how far you can throw a disc. If you can't putt, you're not going to win. So if you're not already focused on putting and learning how to putt, forget what you're doing, learn how to putt. I can't tell you I've won many tournaments, and it never has been about my drive, ever. It's always been about consistently putting and I would say between 40 and 50 feet is where you should practice, maybe a little bit closer to learn your release, but it's got to be consistent and make sure you're practicing, I would say 3, 4, 5 times a week, and that's no joke. You see a basket here. TJ and I spend many hours out in the yard practicing. You wouldn't know it the way I played today, but for the most part, we're out here and we're spending a lot of time practicing. So if you don't practice, doesn't matter what sport you play, especially disc golf, you don't practice, don't expect to be successful. But from a putting perspective, you'll see all these discs have Innova across, and I'll tell you what they are here in a second. 175 max weight. We got these from the factory store. You can see them. Out of production disc. Thank God for TJ for finding these discs for me, because these are the only discs that I putted with when I was playing a lot, all the tournaments around Dallas-Fort Worth, and sometimes traveling outside. But you can see they're all Innova factory discs, and I don't know if I could play without having a hammer in my bag. So this is an old school hammer. It's probably 25 years old. I actually traded 3 discs for this about 15 years ago when I saw a guy have one of these, because to me the feel it's amazing. They call it a mid-range, but I putt with it. It does travel a little bit further than what a normal putter would, but I can throw it 100 feet out to 40 feet out to 10 feet to 20 feet out, and I can throw it with the same release and it does the same thing. So these are my putters. These are the money discs. Forget about the other ones. If you want to be successful, you got to learn how to putt. I would say, as a caveat, if you don't have hammers, which they're very difficult to find, you got to use ABRs. Any kind of ABR, ABRX, ABRR. TJ's got some ABRs from Macbeth. I think he's one of the world champions. He's been around the golf scene for a few years. Again, I'm just getting back into the game, trying to get my game back to where it was when I was younger. But yeah, ABRs are amazing discs as well if you can't find other putters. I'm not familiar with any other putter on the market. I mean, there's multiple putters out there, but again, from Innova's perspective, I love the hammer. If I didn't have a hammer in my bag, I'd have a boatload of ABRs, which I got about 15 in a tub that are backups just in case something happens to these hammers. But that's it. Sorry to ramble on so much. Thanks for subscribing to my son's channel. I know he appreciates it. I've never been more excited about my kids being in sports than my son being interested in disc golf. It's my favorite sport. I've played all the sports, baseball, football, basketball, but of all the sports, my favorite by far is disc golf. I love getting out on the course. I think we need to have more courses with golf carts, because again, I'm getting old, so I'd love to have more courses that way. But it's great getting out, having fun with the guys, and playing golf. And anyway, last thing I want to say is I play in Irving. We have a symbol in Irving, and all of us in Irving have our own sign, and all the disc golfers in Irving, I want to make a shout out to you. But we always say Irving, and we're on the map. We're coming. The young guns are coming out, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully one of them will win Worlds, and you'll see Irving as a sign all over. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Thanks. Hey, how you doing? My name is Tony Rodriguez. Welcome to Young Guns.
Young Gun Disc Golf.
All right, stop it. That's the way. Tony Rodriguez. Welcome to Young Guns Disc Golf. Young Gun or Young Guns?
Young Gun.
All right, stop it.